he is projecting his own dark impulses onto the rewired soul. He wants to make money. He doesn't want to get criticism. He wants people to see him as doing something good even though he's an asshole. He wants to sell shitty clothes, and make a quick buck. He wishes he could teach classes and make $100 per class. Which further goes into what I was saying before, how Primink is trying to avoid criticism. These edgelords do these videos to take out channels that speak on bad behavior because they know one day there's going to be a video about them. But if he makes a mockery of the rewired soul now, if the rewired soul ever did a video on him later, he'll just tell his audience, see, he's at it again. The rewired soul is at it again. We don't need to take him seriously. We've already made a joke of him. That's the point.
But unfortunately, Chris, that defense doesn't work on me. I'm a very strong supporter of mental health. My subscribers and I just raised a good chunk of money for...
Raising money for mental health does not mean that you are immune to being toxic as a person. You can raise money. Some of the most psychopathic billionaires on this planet donate money to charities all the time. Just because you know psychological definitions and terms and the shit that you read doesn't mean that you know how to apply it to an actual human psyche. Psychological professionals don't tell you when you're wrong. They try to make everything that you do enabled. They're constantly like, you did it for this reason, or it's not that bad. They never want you to feel like you're a bad person. And that's a problem because, they even interview sociopaths and psychopaths and they still don't want to tell them what you did is wrong. And that's why these people are who they are, because people enabled them since they were a child.
Do some questionable things. It really makes me question what the rewired soul's motives are. Is he truly a man trying to promote better mental health, or is he just a money-hungry guy trying to squeeze some dimes and nickels?
Is he an angel or a demon? I don't know. Is he just trying to help people, or is he actually trying to scam everyone for every dollar he can? Could there be anything in between, you ask? No, there's no way that's the case. He's either a saint or a sinner. There is no such thing as nuance or context. Psychology started in philosophy. You do realize that, right? Like, everybody acts like that's not a thing. Why do people keep acting like psychology is like this, mathematics course you can take? Like, it's like Algebra 2 or some shit. And once you learn what X, Y, A, B, C, and exponents are, all of a sudden you can solve anything with the human brain. No! Psychology started with philosophy. People had philosophical theories of how humans function, and through observation and speculation, we found behavioral patterns. And through that, we found problems in our behavior and also found solutions. When people first developed psychological findings, it came from them observing people all the time. And they had to take an objective look at the human psyche and say, okay, I think that people behave this way in this situation. And they just noticed that most people do. It depends on what the fucking mental disorder is and who they're affecting. If they're hurting someone else, a lot of times you do need to be more aggressive because humans honestly are still primitive and respond to dominance. Oh my god, I fucking forgot he did this at the end. This shit pissed me the fuck off.
Wrong, your videos are causing this distress. If your goal is to help people mentally, then putting these people in these positions is not what you should be doing. If you want to be a drama/commentary channel that covers these topics in the community, that's fine, and I see nothing wrong with.
But that's not all that he's doing, and he talks about things that aren't even drama related, so that's why you can't accuse him of that. And again, listen to him. If you want to be a drama channel, be one. But you're either a drama channel or you help people. You gotta pick one. You can't talk about drama and help people. It's black or white. You gotta do one or the other. Fuck you, fuck you. Either way, you're fucked. It's like, man, get over yourself. Who are you? Who the fuck are you to make these decisions? What is wrong with you?
These videos, but when you so actively preach mental health, making 15 videos on someone does seem contradicting.
If they were Onision, it would be fucking fine. If they were one of the many people who have raped people on this fucking platform. You remember when that was a big thing? All these rapists were being, shown the light on YouTube a few years ago. If somebody made 15 videos on them, everybody would be like, no, that's fine actually. Yeah, I get that. People made 100,000 videos on all those fucking reaction channels. Do you not remember that shit? 100,000 fucking videos. A video after video. Here's this reaction channel. Here's this one. Here's the same one. This is the top reactor. I'm going to make 10 videos on him because he's so fucking annoying. And he keeps reacting to my content. That was a thing. So yeah, you can make 10 videos on one fucking person. Just like how the news can report on the same person over and over again. That's fine. If the context is that you are harassing them, because news reporters can also report on someone multiple times and harass them. Because it's illegitimate. You don't have a legitimate reason. The question is this multitude of videos on this one person legitimate or illegitimate? And you don't get to say whether it is or not because you haven't shown any fucking context. You haven't shown the context of all the things he talked about. You just said, oh, you do more than 10 videos on someone, you're obsessed. That's the most baseless accusation I've ever fucking heard in my life. Especially from someone who's taken psychology classes.
Primink, so if you had a depressed friend, you wouldn't recommend they try therapy. That's pretty dangerous, man. Completely twisted my words, but that's fine. These people...
Okay, so now with this one. So remember how I said at the beginning of the video, I don't like the Rewired soul, and I'm saying he is very optimistic. And I talk about how optimism is a very toxic thing and stuff. I'm making myself clear. I'm not saying he's an angel. I've said a bunch of times in this video that he's done some fucked up things and some things he has not done this fucked up. So I am not okay with you making it seem like it's something that it's not. Be objective. Show the information for what it is. If someone is doing some fucked up things, but other things they do is okay, you have to show it that way. You can't just paint them as a villain and go throughout the whole video like that. All your videos are the same, when it's not. So yes, this sentence right here is a fucked up sentence. But you don't get to sit there and act like this is some crazy fucking line when you kept taking him out of context throughout the whole video. You took him out of context so many times in the video. The one time you have a response of him doing it to you, you want to say, he took me out of context. That's my move. What the fuck? So, just going to insert something else that I noticed while editing this video. Haven't you ever, met people who give this same analogy, all the time? I talk to people all the time who will tell me, so you wouldn't do this for a friend? That's not taking them out of context. When people say that, they're saying, okay, well, if you do it for a friend, why not do it for a stranger? Why do only your friends get that amount of consideration? Why don't you consider strangers the way you consider your friends to some degree? That's what they're saying. Every single time I hear somebody say, oh, you wouldn't do it for a friend, every time I hear them say that, they always mean it in that way. And it makes sense because, the Rewired soul is a grown-ass man with a child. You would think that he has enough common sense to know that these people aren't his friends. Because, in a couple seconds, Primink is gonna say, oh, these people aren't your friends. They don't want this. And it's okay, if they were your friends, it wouldn't matter what they want. And also, I think he knows that they're not his friends. I'm pretty sure he's aware that they're not his friends. So yes, he's having a hard time articulating himself, but every single time people give that analogy, it's for that reason. If you would do this for your friends, why not do it for a stranger? That's what he's actually asking you. So the sad thing is he didn't even take you out of context if that's the case, which most likely that's how he meant it. If he meant it the other way, then that's fucked up. But most likely he meant it that way. So, I couldn't think of where he was coming from in the moment, which is why I said it's pretty possible that he did it by accident. But I'm leaning towards that because I've just heard that analogy too many times to think it's anything different. So yeah, again, Primink is just fucking retarded, and I'm gonna go back to this video now.
Seem contradicting? Primink, so if you had a depressed friend, you wouldn't recommend they try therapy. That's pretty dangerous, man. Completely twisted my words, but that's fine. These people aren't your friends. They've made it clear they don't like you and don't want you to help them, but you continue to talk about them. The only thing you're doing is causing harm and stress to their lives, not helping it. Contradicting everything you preach.
So that's an optimistic phrase, by the way. You're not helping people if you cause harm and stress to their lives. It depends on the person. It depends on the situation. You can't just say this vague ass shit and act like it's right. Sometimes you do have to stress somebody out to help them. Sometimes you do have to cause them pain to fucking help them. People should have stressed Tati the fuck out. Because that bitch is a fucking scam artist, okay? She fucking scammed everybody. And she still has 5 million subscribers now? Didn't she get 2-3 million subs from her fucking BS video? So yeah, people should have jumped down her fucking throat for that. And they didn't. It would have caused her pain. It would have stressed her out. But she was in the wrong. So she fucking deserved it. And then that would have made her stop with this manipulative bullshit. And in the future, she wouldn't be so quick to do that to someone again. But since she got away with it this time, you best believe she's going to do it to someone again. Best believe she will. She became friends with James. He was younger than her. She's more like a mentor. And she used him. I've been around people like that my whole fucking life. Targeting you because you're a kid and they know more than you and they have more access to things than you do. So they start to be your friend. and then they want to use you when you start to rise above them. They're disgusting fucking people. And that's what the fuck she did. So, yeah, like, sometimes you gotta stress people out to get them to do the right thing. I swear to God, I was just about to say the right thing, man. Like, I swear to God, I was just about to say that. I, like, caught myself for a second because I just realized I said it. I'm telling you, like, where is that fucking, like, supposed to be some type of, like, manipulation tactic? When I say man, like, when I'm like, man, that's fucked up. Like, where I'm from, people say man all the time. I get it from where the fuck I'm from, like, where I'm raised. Like, when you think somebody's doing something fucked up, you're like, oh my God, man, like, stop. Man, like, that's how you talk. I don't understand how that's... please, read to me the line that says that that's by definition a manipulation tactic. It depends on the context. Somebody could be manipulating you by saying that, but it's honestly a lot of times like a pitiful phrase. It's like, oh man, like, oh, you're so pitiful. Come on, man, I am disappointed in you. That's usually when people say man, when they're taking pity on you. And he was taking pity on you. It was condescending. You didn't like it. So your response is, you're trying to manipulate me and everyone around me. I figured it out. I have no evidence of such, but I know that that's what you were doing. I got it.
I almost applaud Chris for what he's done. He's managed to create a drama channel that is basically immune to criticism, because if you criticize him or his channel, the defense from him and his fans will always be, oh, you don't support my channel? That means you don't support mental health. You're a bad person.
So this was the other part where I wanted to cut in because this is so important and a lot of people are going to skip over what Primink just said and what he's going to continue to say in a second. Primink just told you he wants to applaud someone for finding a way to do fucked up things and avoid criticism. Now you already know that I don't believe that the Rewired Soul is doing the things that he's accusing him of, but he is accusing him of being a manipulative person. And he just said, I actually want to applaud him for what he's done. And as soon as I go back to the video, he's going to say he's, criticizing other people and making them distressed and putting their lives on blast. And you can't criticize him because he just claims that it's for mental health. So he says himself, I wish I had a thought of that. Think about that phrase. Honestly, think about it. When have you ever heard someone make that phrase? It's when they actually wish they could do that. Which further goes into what I was saying before, how Primink is trying to avoid criticism. These edgelords do these videos to take out channels that speak on bad behavior because they know one day there's going to be a video about them. But if he makes a mockery of the Rewired Soul now, if the Rewired Soul ever did a video on him later, he'll just tell his audience, see, he's at it again. The Rewired Soul is at it again. We don't need to take him seriously. We've already made a joke of him. That's the point. That's why they're doing this in advance. It's very calculative. And that's why I said this stuff is sociopathic. So understand the perfect analogy would be, think about something horrible. Think about something disgusting that you would never do. So let's say that somebody found a way to be a serial rapist, okay? A violent serial rapist. And they found a way to get away with it by claiming some bullshit. Like they're like, no, I'm doing it in the name of this or something. And they're raping innocent people and everyone fell for it. Never in a million years would you ever say, I actually want to applaud him for what he's done. I actually want to applaud him because he found a way to rape a bunch of innocent people and get off scot-free. I wish I could do that. You would never fucking say that in your life, would you? No, because you don't want to rape anybody. You can replace it with anything. Okay, that's an extreme example. I've been giving extremes so you can really understand what I'm talking about. But honestly, just take 5 minutes to think about any fucked up thing. Lying, stealing, cheating, manipulation, abuse, anything. Unless you secretly want to do that stuff, you're not going to say, I wish I could do that. Don't you always hear people say, they're making money just off of putting their logo on a shirt? Somebody just put a letter on a shirt and they're like, I wish I could do that. Or like Kanye West, I wish I could sell a white t-shirt for $100. It's because you actually kind of wish you had that fucking money. It's a Freudian slip, okay? That's what a Freudian slip is. He just admitted that he does wish he could do fucked up things and claim that it's in the name of something good. And he's been showing examples of priming people to believe that he's better than he is. So this is how he thinks. I just want to point that out because he's a disgusting individual and he's showing it. So remember, that's a Freudian slip. I'm going to go back to the video now.
I almost applaud Chris for what he's done. He's managed to create a drama channel that is basically immune to criticism, because if you criticize him or his channel, the defense from him and his fans will always be, oh, you don't support my channel? That means you don't support mental health. You're a bad person.
Okay, but what about what you did? Like, even, let's say that is what he's doing. Let's just go with your retarded theory, okay? Because clearly if he did do something really bad, he can get criticism, and even if he did make that claim, it wouldn't work. Depends on what the fuck you did that's wrong. But even if that was true, look at what you've done. You've primed an entire audience to view you as this like saint in comparison to him, when you've done the same things as him. You're using the same tactics. And so honestly, a lot of what he's doing is projection, which is what I also talk about all the time. People project 24/7. They project all the time, because if you don't understand someone else's way of thinking, the only thing that you can do is project your way of thinking onto them, because you have no other idea of what could be in their head. If you don't know what could be in someone's head, and the only things you can think of are what's in your head, you project it onto them. So he's like, well, I know if I were to say man, I'd be manipulating somebody. I know that if I were to, put these faces in my thumbnail, it's because I'm trying to do a drama video. I know when I use their names in my title, I'm trying to get money and do a drama video. I know this. I know that I'd like to be able to avoid criticism by just claiming mental health, because remember what he did earlier? I'm depressed, I have depression. I need the depressed videos more than anyone. And then like in the end, he's like, I'm an asshole. After he's primed you to think that he's like this depressed guy who's just doing a decent video with criticism, then he starts shitting on himself. So he's projecting his own tactics onto this guy, and it's really fucked up.
It's almost genius. It's clever. But unfortunately, Chris, that defense doesn't work on me. I'm a very strong supporter of mental health. My subscribers and I just raised a good chunk of money for...
Raising money for mental health does not mean that you are immune to being toxic as a person. You can raise money. Some of the most psychopathic billionaires on this planet donate money to charities all the time. So you can be a horrible person and still do some good. Like Hitler did things that were good. He's still a horrible fucking person. It's the idea of a clock can be right twice a day. A broken clock can be right twice a day. So I just hate when people are like, I actually support mental health. Because again, you act like he doesn't support mental health. You don't know anything about what he's done for mental health. You act like you're the only person who donates to mental health in this situation or something. There's probably plenty of the video who were mentioned in this video could have been donating to causes. So it's just so stupid for you to act like he just doesn't help anybody. Ugh. And you
Mental
do.
Health America. In fact, while we, a channel not even about mental health, were raising money for mental health, you were making 3 ebooks, charging $8 a book, and creating an online course for $100. That's right, folks. For the low price of $100 up front, or $120 on our monthly payment plan, you can receive an hour-long course on the science of addictions. Who $100. That's right, folks. For the low price of $100 up front, or $120 on our monthly payment plan, you can receive an hour-long course on the science of addictions. Who needs free YouTube videos from actual licensed doctors when you can pay $100 to learn from a guy who has no schooling whatsoever?
Okay, I got a few examples for you actually. There are people who do voice acting, people who do singing, people who play instruments, and there's also tarot card readings and like astrology bullshit. So all these people, they're free. There are YouTubers who do it for free, and there's YouTubers who make you pay for it. Same thing with speed painters. Some of them are like, no, you need to subscribe to my Patreon, and you need to pay me $100 for me to teach you how to draw this picture. And so they'll just show you snippets. But at the same time, I understand that not everybody is like me, and people are willing to pay for those things. Some services are free, some are not. And almost everything in life, there's a free alternative, and then there's like an actual, paid service for the same thing. That's why I just listed the tarot card shit, the astrology shit, there's voice coaches. There was a narcissism channel actually, one that talked about narcissism all the time, and they made you pay for like Skype classes and stuff. Even though they did free videos as well, they did both. So some people do both. So yeah, like people need to make a living. You don't know where he lives. Like, what if he lived in a place like, for example, if you live in California, your rent is like, what, $7,000 or some shit? I can't remember. But it's expensive. So depending on where you live, $100 is a typical price for something like that. And then depending on where you live, $100 is way too much. And depending on where you live, $100 could be too little. It really does depend on where you live. So, yeah, like, that's not enough context for me. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he's a scam artist because you have to pay. Like, I don't want to pay for his service. And even if this isn't a good service, that doesn't mean that all of his videos are bad. Again, this is just like whataboutism. His videos are bad because he makes you pay for classes on addiction. Okay, how? How does that mean his videos are bad? Because he did this fucked up thing, so the other thing has to be fucked up by association? What's the association? I don't fucking know, but bad is bad is bad. There's black and white. Okay.
Sounds like a bargain if you ask me. Also, while all of YouTube were making videos highlighting BetterHelp and their questionable practices, BetterHelp is a service that lets you talk to therapists online. It got in trouble because it came to light that they didn't have a good system of verifying their therapists. So you could have been talking to some random guy from Idaho instead of a therapist. Therapists live in Idaho. I don't know why.
That's so funny. Oh my god, so funny.
Anyways,
oh.
Chris actively promoted and still to this day promotes their services to all of his fans. Life lesson. If you ever even have an inclination that something you're promoting is a scam or bad for your fans, you drop that sponsor instantly. You don't make 3 videos defending them, and in the defense video, you don't tell everyone, hey, I've never even...
So it's like, again, people can do questionable things. That doesn't mean that everything that they do is fucked up. I'm not going to say that everything you do is fucked up because, yes, you're fucked up with this video for sure. But that doesn't mean that all your claims are wrong. Which is why in this example, if it's clear that BetterHelp is a very, like, scam-like service, then yes, it is fucked up for people to continue to use that service. But again, that has nothing to do with are your videos legitimate or not. The title of your video is about him being a pretend therapist when he didn't say he was, and why it's concerning. But half of the examples you gave, he wasn't even diagnosing anyone or stirring up drama. So you bringing up what he continues to sponsor or take money from is a whole different story. Like, you still buy shit from Amazon, don't you? And if you don't, isn't that a form of a scam? So yeah, something can be a scam, but people still support it anyway. People do it all the fucking time. If it's convenient or if it helps you personally, people support it regardless. Yeah, like, if people can support fucking Amazon, which drives people to suicide in the first place, you know, then how is it so crazy that people continue to sponsor mental health services that don't have good practices? It works for some, it does work for some people, but it also has bad practices. It's the same as everything else that people support. Don't you buy clothes that were made in sweatshops? Don't you use phones that were made in sweatshops? People having to shit in diapers or in their pants. They can't eat or drink or anything. They're breaking their hands. Like, there's a lot of shit that people participate in that's fucked up. So that has nothing to do with, are your video topics bad? By definition. Like, are most of your video topics bad? You've gone so far away from that topic, like, why the fuck are we going in this direction? So yeah, I think that his claim about this is probably legitimate. I don't know much about BetterHelp, but I'm saying even if it is legitimate, that has nothing to do with the original point that he was making. It's just, look at he's bad, look at all the bad stuff he does, I'll show you examples of him being bad, so this is whataboutism, and since he's bad here, that means he's bad everywhere.
Make 3 videos defending them, and in the defense video, you don't tell everyone, hey, I've never even used the service before, but I know it's pretty good.
Like, oh, full disclosure, I don't use it. I don't. My girlfriend does. One of my other friends does. Okay, like, but I don't use it, but,
At the end of the day...
Okay, so there's people who sponsor things like Nature Box, even though they personally don't want a Nature Box. They still think that it's a good service. They're just like, I personally don't want it. That's a thing. So you can't just say you can't sponsor it. Like, if you're not paying for the service, you can't sponsor it. That's stupid. Now again, this could be a very scammy service. I just don't know much about it, so I don't want to speak on it. Someone say, you didn't know this though. It actually isn't, and everyone's wrong. So I'm pretty sure I've heard a little bit about it. Even if it is, like, that doesn't mean that you can't sponsor a service because you haven't used it. That's a whole different subject. But again, this guy sucks at context. He sucks at nuance. He doesn't know how to talk about this. I don't even think he understands the concept of nuance. He can say he does because, you know, pseudo-intellectuals always want to appear to be smart. So they would never want you to tell them they don't know what nuance is. But he doesn't fucking know what it is.
Today, I have no problem with Chris being a drama channel. If speculating people's failing
I have no problem with you being a piece of shit. I'm a piece of shit. We're all a piece of shit. But you can't act like you're helping people while being a piece of shit, because that's no bueno.
relationships like they're a part of some soap opera is what gets you off, then power to ya. Everyone's got their kinks, you know?
Because that's all that he did. Talking about avoiding your problems is going to hurt you. He's not even saying you're hurting anyone else, Gabby. It's just avoiding your problems won't help you in the long run. That's you acting like it's a soap opera. Saying that you want to take a mental health break for yourself. You admitted that. And then him saying, make sure you use it to your fullest. That's you acting like it's a soap opera. Yep. That's what it means to treat people like their lives are soap operas. Just talk about whatever they talk about is apparently by definition a soap opera. Okay.
But when you say your channel's goal is to raise awareness to mental health and help people get through their problems, but at the same time are putting people's mental health down for some views and drama, I see a huge problem.
Okay, so it's so stupid. Like, again, that's a very optimistic phrase. If somebody is a narcissist, I am not going to build you up for being a narcissist. That's only going to make it worse because you're a fucking narcissist. You want to be propped up. You want to believe you're this fucking amazing thing and all this other shit I don't need to get into right now. But that's the dumbest thing to fucking do with a narcissist. Or a sociopath. To act like what they do isn't that bad. Like, sociopaths have a thrill on getting away with horrible things. That's like the whole point of being a sociopath. It's like an addiction. It's a thrill that you're getting away with fucking over other people's lives. So why would I then say that you're exhibiting sociopathic behavior and try to make you feel good about it? That is the dumbest fucking thing you can do. But because this guy is an optimist, whether he admits it or not, he's an optimist. Like I said, most people are optimistic, even though some of them try to say that they aren't. That's an optimistic behavior. You shouldn't be just always trying to make people feel good about their mental health problems. There's so many different forms of mental health, but we don't talk about it. Psychologists don't like addressing, like, a big problem with psychology, and I am going to talk about it more. I think I talked about it once before, is that psychological professionals don't tell you when you're wrong. They try to make everything that you do enabled. They're constantly like, oh, you did it for this reason, or it's not that bad. They never want you to feel like you're a bad person. And that's a problem because, they even interview sociopaths and psychopaths and they still don't want to tell them what you did is wrong. And that's why these people are who they are, because people enabled them since they were a child. They enabled them since childhood. And so they just continue to get away with worse and worse things because if you don't address a problem, it'll get worse. So yeah, I'm not always going to be nice about someone's mental health issue, and no one should. It depends on the fucking issue. If you're anorexic, like Eugenia Cooney, leave her alone. She's gonna get help when she gets help. You talking shit about her isn't gonna make it happen any fucking faster. It's not. And the funny thing is, I kept saying that shit, and she actually came out in the documentary saying that she was made fun of for being skinny in school, like when she was a kid. And she still became anorexic. She got made fun of for being skinny, and she still became anorexic. So why would making fun of her or talking shit about her help her to not be anorexic anymore? That's how she got there. It's just like with a fat person. If you make fun of somebody for being fat, they're just going to keep eating. So it's like, yeah, you're not, every case is different is what I'm saying. And there's some cases where you do need to be nicer to a person, and then there's some cases where you need to be meaner to a person. It depends on what the fucking mental disorder is and who they're affecting. If they're hurting someone else, a lot of times you do need to be more aggressive because humans honestly are still primitive and respond to dominance. And that's how edgelords are. They respond to dominance as well.
On top of charging $100 for an hour-long session on addictions, some self-help books, and continuous promotion of a site that has been known to do some questionable things, it really makes me question what the Rewired soul's motives are. Is he truly a man trying to promote better mental health, or is he just a money-hungry guy trying to squeeze some dimes and nickels?
Is he an angel or a demon? I don't know. Is he just trying to help people, or is he actually trying to scam everyone for every dollar he can? Could there be anything in between, you ask? No, there's no way that's the case. He's either a saint or a sinner. There is no such thing as nuance or context. What are you talking about, Karina?
Out of some drama in the name of mental health. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss. I'm curious. I'd like to leave this video on a positive note, so...
I'm telling you, optimist. I want to leave this on a positive note. I know I was talking about this guy ruining people's lives, but let's be positive about it, because I'm an optimist.
If you guys are looking for a channel that is truly supportive and...
Oh my god, I fucking forgot he did this at the end. This shit pissed me the fuck off. He fucking posts Katie Morton from the Shane Dawson documentaries. He's posting this bitch saying, you should check out her channel. Listen to him.
in my eyes, a good example of a mental health channel.
A good example of a mental health channel. She said that Shane Dawson is probably an empath, when Shane Dawson clearly shows signs of sociopathic behavior. Like, he does a lot of sociopathic things, and he is, you know, very manipulative. Like, his video about Jake Paul was extremely manipulative. And he did it all for drama. Like, in the Shane Dawson documentary, there's actually a clip where he's showing up to, I think, Jake Paul's house. It might be someone else's. And he's about to interview his ex-girlfriend, whatever her name is. And as he's walking in there, he was like, ooh, this will make for a really good shot. That's the first thing he said when he walked into the room. Ooh, this will make for a really good shot. So constantly on his mind, throughout this very serious situation, he's constantly thinking of what makes for a good video. What's a good shot? And he's not thinking about addressing this serious topic. And then there's a lot of things that he never even addressed in the first place. You know, because that'd be too negative. Like with Eugenia Cooney, there's questions he didn't ask her because this retarded ass therapist said, I wouldn't ask her that. I don't think that you should ask her that. I wouldn't ask her that either, even though everyone's curious about it. No, like, ask her and just reassure her that if she doesn't want to talk about it, it's fine. If she shows signs of not wanting to talk about it, but the whole point of the interview is for her to explain herself. So this person is a terrible fucking therapist, and she's not even a psychologist. She's not even a psychologist. And he kept using her as an expert for psychological problems. Like, that shit made me so fucking mad. And understand, I don't even like psychologists for the most part. Like, a lot of psychologists are fucked up. Anybody who's been to psychologists knows that psychologists don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, it depends on the person. Just because you read books and just because you got a degree doesn't mean you know what the fuck you're talking about. So, yeah, like, this is just so... I can't believe he recommended her.
Check out Katie Morton. She is a certified therapist. That's right, certified.
So she, by definition, knows what she's talking about.
And only talks about other YouTubers' problems when they're in the same room with
in a positive way, where no one's done anything wrong.
her, given her consent to do so. She's not some random guy trying to tell people he never met that they have problems. Anyways, guys.
And psychologists also don't like to tell you what your problems were. So that's the end of his fucking video. Yeah, I actually stumbled upon his response when I was looking for the Bobby Burns video that I couldn't find. If anyone can find it, please link it to me. I would just, out of curiosity, like to know what he said about Bobby. Because I do think that saying that somebody is a drug addict just because they went to a... Like, they're still doing drugs just because they went to a party is a stretch. And that that's not okay. But I just want to know, was that the only fucked up thing he did throughout the video? And did he say anything that was legitimate? I'm just curious if that was another example of this guy taking him out of context. So anyway, okay, so I responded and I said, I don't agree with the Rewind Soul. The Rewind Soul. I don't agree with the Rewired Soul. It's obvious what his intentions are. Some of what he's done is shady, but you also took him out of context a lot. So when I say it's obvious what he's done, again, it's that there's more to it. And he didn't want to talk about that. I said, you posted video thumbnails where he wasn't fueling a fire if you actually watched the videos. But more importantly, Katie Morton is a terrible therapist. Even though this particular person, the Rewired Soul, can't diagnose people properly and doesn't have a degree, does not mean that she is by definition intelligent in the realms of psychology for having one. This woman called Shane Dawson an empath when he clearly displays signs of sociopathic behavior. So she may be certified, but she has no idea what she's talking about, like most psychological professionals. If they knew what they were doing, depression wouldn't be as rampant as it is these days. So every time I hear someone say that a certified professional knows what they're doing, I want to die. And for the record, before psychology was a course you could take, regular citizens made these discoveries. It's called philosophy. So yes, a philosopher can have more knowledge than a therapist or a psychologist. And that last line is the most important thing. No one thinks about this. Like, I was watching one of the Adam Ruins Everything episodes, and he does this one episode where he's making fun of two women who came up with a table about people's psyche. And he said, they are not certified psychological professionals. They never took any classes on psychology, and they came up with this. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it all started. You know, before college was even invented, people came up with shit and wrote books about it. That's kind of the point. Psychology started in philosophy. You do realize that, right? Like, everybody acts like that's not a thing. Why do people keep acting like psychology is like this like mathematics course you can take? Like it's like algebra 2 or some shit. And once you learn what X, Y, A, B, C, you know, and exponents are, all of a sudden you can solve anything with the human brain. No! Psychology started with philosophy. People had philosophical theories of how humans function, and through observation and speculation, we found behavioral patterns. And through that, we found problems in our behavior and also found solutions. So a lot of the times when psychological people conduct experiments or social experiments, and they want to do statistics on a form of psychological behavior, it's because they had a theory first, which goes back into philosophy. They had a philosophical theory that this is how a human would behave in this situation, and then they tested it out so that it could be more accurate. Now, but before all that was a thing, before you could do controlled studies, when people first developed psychological findings, it came from them observing people all the time. And they had to take an objective look at the human psyche and say, okay, I think that people behave this way in this situation. And they just noticed that most people do. So that's why it pisses me off when people act like philosophy is a complete joke. Like, philosophy is very annoying. I don't like a lot of philosophers because, again, I keep saying I hate most people. Most people are psychopathic, or sociopathic and narcissistic, and they are very toxic and pretentious. So most philosophers are pretentious. Just like how most comedians think that they're a philosopher all of a sudden. They're going to teach the world about philosophy or some shit. I hate most comedians. I hate most philosophers because they're pseudo-intellectuals. But that doesn't change the fact that philosophy is a very important thing. It's just human beings are fucking annoying. Philosophy and human beings are two different things. So just because you can corrupt philosophical ideas with your human brain doesn't mean that the idea of philosophy should just be taken in vain. So yeah, like I'm never going to say, oh, you're a philosopher. You had a philosophical idea about how people think. You don't have a certified diploma in this subject, so how do you know what you're talking about? The same fucking way everyone else does. You read up on shit and you think on shit. That's what the fuck school is for. You read shit and you think up on it. End of story. That's how the fuck you become a psychologist. You can do the same thing without going to college. Just like those kid geniuses. There's a lot of like kid geniuses out there who can do like fucking master degrees type of math and science. And they're like in the 5th grade. But people in those same courses are struggling their asses off. Hell, they're getting their associate's degree and can't even take simple ass math or science classes. But are you gonna look at that kid and say, you're not certified, you're not a mathematician, how dare you think that you know something? But the only reason why they say it with this is because psychology is a very tricky subject. It has to do with stuff that we don't fully understand yet. We're not self-aware. Humans are not self-aware. And even the ones who are, there are different levels of self-awareness. The start of self-awareness, when you know that you're self-aware, is when you know more about yourself and your environment than you don't know about it. Meaning, if 100% means that you know everything about yourself and the environment around you, and 0% means you know nothing, you become self-aware the minute you go above 50%. Even if it's 50.00001%. That's when you're self-aware, because you know more about your environment and yourself, then you have a lack of understanding of those things. But there's still a whole other 49% left to go through, to learn even more. And that's, yes, we're never going to learn every single thing, but my point is, you can still discover things from then on. So you need to be self-aware already to have any sort of idea of even deeper subjects about the human psyche. And most psychologists aren't self-aware. That's why they can't help depressed people. Most psychiatrists aren't self-aware. Most therapists, so they can't help you. They can't. And that's why a lot of psychologists fucking tell atheists and agnostic people to have faith in God when they're having problems. That's not gonna fucking help anybody. And these bitches have degrees. So yeah, like, you being a psychological professional doesn't automatically mean that you're helpful. And just because you're a philosopher doesn't mean you know everything either. It depends on the person.
So I just finished watching Primink's video about yours truly, and I can't tell if he's either A, hypocrite,
He is.
B, purposely manipulating
He
you,
is.
Or C, ignorant because he doesn't do the proper research.
All
but
three.
hey, I'm an optimist, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick C.
Wow, he actually said he's an optimist. I didn't know that he would actually admit to it. But both of them admitted to being an optimist. I think that that's funny. So, you know, I know that Primink didn't say I'm an optimist, but at the end of his video he said, to end it on a positive note, only an optimist would do that. So, they're both optimists.
What is up, everybody? This is Chris from the Rewired Soul, where we talk about the problem, but focus on the solution. And if you're new to my channel is all about mental health, and what I like to do is...
Because this video is so long, I gotta speed it up. I think I can speed it up just a little bit. Because I know that you all are gonna speed up my video, so I'll just put it on like 1.25. I don't think that's too bad. And, oh, there's also context at the bottom, so you can read this if you don't know what he's saying. So yeah.
Pull different topics from the YouTube community to try to teach you how to improve your mental and emotional well-being. So if you're into that stuff, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell. So yeah, I was not going to make a response video, but I decided to. Because something that's been on my mind a lot lately is you get a lot of people who say, you can't take criticism, right? But I think it's very important to understand that there's criticism and then there's invalid criticism, okay? So that's gonna be today's theme.
I was actually having this conversation with my friend, I think, maybe 1 to 2 weeks ago, where I told her that, you know, like sometimes me and her will talk about stuff and we'll disagree and we try to understand a subject. Like if me and her are having a disagreement on a moral issue, we keep coming back to it, not because we're trying to prove that we're right. We know that either one of us are right, one of us is wrong, we're both right to some degree, or it's something in the middle, or we're both wrong. It's gonna be one of those things, and we want to know what the answer is because we want to understand things. We want to learn. So the only way we're gonna learn is if we keep coming back to it. Sometimes we might need a break because you need to think on something. Once new information is presented, you do have to think on it. That's how philosophy works. That's how you come up with new theories and ideas. And then we'll come back to the subject like a week later, like, oh yeah, so you know, talking about that, I was also thinking about this. And eventually we end up having the same opinion pretty much most of the time because we keep talking on subjects till we understand it. So we were taking that and comparing that to like people saying you can't take criticism. Like when we debate people sometimes online separately, they'll say that. And it's like, me disagreeing with your criticism doesn't mean that I can't take it. It means I don't agree with it. I don't have to agree with everything that you say in order to be able to take it. Those are two completely different things. And if you are gonna take time out of your day to fucking tell me that I'm wrong about something, then best believe you're gonna have to be prepared for me to argue back against it if I don't agree with it. If I'm wrong, I will admit so. It's that simple. It's a fucking mistake. Like, people make mistakes. So yeah, like, you can make mistakes and receive criticism and own up to your flaws. Like, people... It's not even a big deal unless, like, you're doing something just disgusting or something. Just say you're sorry and try to change or try to work on it, try to be aware of it.
So, somebody might say, hey Chris, you're fat, all right? That is a valid criticism. I am a little bit on the chunky side. Now, the person who said that is breaking rule number 1 about not being a dick, but valid criticism nonetheless. But then there's an invalid criticism, which would be, Chris, you need to take care of your physical health and quit being so fat. Now, this would be an invalid criticism because that person hasn't done the proper research about me. Because I have been taking care of my health by going to the gym, eating healthier. I've been a vegetarian for over a year now, and I've lost over 50 pounds in the last year. So that would be an invalid criticism, all right? So that's today's theme as we break down Primink's video to discuss good criticism versus invalid criticism. Let's get started.
But the more and more videos I saw, I started to notice that his channel isn't really about mental health or being an advocate for it, and it's more about gossip and drama in the YouTuber community.
As he's scrolling past, he's explaining that my channel is actually not about mental health. But what's interesting is that the thumbnails that he scrolls past, they're actually on topics such as taking mental health breaks, depression, abusive relationships, how to deal with fear, the neuroscience of prayer and meditation, a story about enabling from my drug treatment center, and then there's an entire Q&A about mental health. But this is my favorite part right here as he zooms in on this thumbnail because this is actually a video about crowd psychology and how a lot of us often believe everything that commentary channels say even though they didn't do the proper research. So Primink would have known that had he actually clicked on these videos, watched them, and did the proper research.
So lesson of the day, if you're at a...
So I basically said the same thing. The one thing that I didn't do, I didn't look at the video of this one And I didn't read out loud all of the thumbnails that he scrolled through because, I mean, they're on the screen, and yes, they're all talking about psychology. Instead, I just summarized what was on the screen and said he's talking about psychological subjects, and I pointed out that Primink said himself in the beginning of Primink's video, he's like, oh yeah, you know, he talks about psychology and uses examples on YouTube for people to understand it more. Yeah, that's what he does. So I just pointed out that Primink contradicted himself because he's acting like, oh, you're supposed to just look at YouTubers and show their examples of their behavior relating to psychological subjects. But that's not what you did. You looked at examples of their behavior and related it to psychological subjects in the name of drama. And I'm like, okay, if it's controversial what they did, but it's still a psychological subject, then it is. But most of his videos were not like that. He was saying things like, don't avoid your problems. Because someone literally said, I don't watch videos that have my face on it. That's avoiding your problems. I'm taking a mental health break. That they are admitting that they had mental health issues. So he said, oh, make sure you use it to your fullest. That's the stuff that his videos were about. Most of them weren't even about, like, fucked up things. The ones that he was posting, at the least, Primink. So he just took them out of context.
Because this is actually a video about crowd psychology and how a lot of us often believe everything that commentary channels say, even though they didn't do the proper research.
Yep.
So Primink would have known that had he actually clicked on these videos, watched them, and did the proper research.
So lesson of the day, if you're at a party, you have to be drunk or on drugs, apparently. If you go to Lil Timmy's 10th birthday party, you better come out wasted, or it's not a party.
This, above all else, is the most ignorant statement that Primink made throughout the entire video, alright? So, we have Bobby Burns. His entire brand nowadays is smoking weed. That's his brand. He smokes weed and he parties. So Primink wants to believe that Bobby Burns went out partying and it just so happened that night Bobby Burns says, you know what, tonight, no alcohol or drugs for me.
One thing is, I had said in the other video, like, I want to see the video for myself, and I honestly did my best to find it. I can't. If anyone finds that video, please link it to me because I'd like to formulate my own opinion and hear everything straight out the horse's mouth. I know he's saying this, but like I want to hear what he said verbatim in the original video. But I can't find it, so I couldn't comment on it. All that I was able to comment on was, even if he's right, and even if the Rewired Soul made a false accusation on Bobby Byrne, then that's one thing that he did wrong. That doesn't mean that all of his criticisms are invalid. All of his videos aren't legitimate. So it's just, I hate it when people like falsely equate two different scenarios as if they're one.
I'm good. So Primink wants to believe that. Well, actually, this is one of the reasons that I make videos like this using things happening in the YouTube community. Because it's people like Primink who are lying to themselves and being willfully ignorant, and then they're unintentionally, now I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, unintentionally in
See, he's being an optimist right now. That's why I don't like this guy. He said, oh, no, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's unintentionally doing it. You don't have evidence to that. You can't say he's unintentionally doing it. And honestly, the majority of the time, people know what the fuck they're doing. Like, people are very slimy. It's already been statistically proven that people lie 24/7. People lie constantly, okay? So, it's just like, now when I say 24/7, that's an exaggeration, but it's been statistically proven that people lie on a daily basis. They lie all the time. Even if they're little lies, we lie all the fucking time. So, like, to say that most likely someone's doing something really fucked up and they don't know what they're doing, they're just an innocent little, like, just a little poopy they made. No, it's not a little poopy. Like, they know what the fuck they're doing most of the time. Objectively, it's more likely that he's doing it on purpose. And I also say that because in the other video, I pointed out several times that he was priming his audience to have a false opinion of this guy. He groomed them constantly to believe he's a demon and he's an angel. I kept pointing that out. So I refuse to believe that he's innocent about that because yes, he may not know that it's called priming or grooming, but he still knows what he's doing because that's a tactic of manipulation that people use. And he's well aware of what manipulation is because Primink is the one who falsely accused him of reading manipulation books when he had no evidence of that. He's like, you probably read manipulation books, aren't you? You the one who brought it up, so I wouldn't be surprised if you were a bitch.
Enabling somebody. Like, I can just imagine Primink walking in on a loved one with a needle sticking out of their arm and saying, whoa, 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 whoa. Where's the proof that that was actually filled with heroin or meth?
So because of this, he started to create almost fake drama using YouTubers' names.
Exactly. So, little brief history of the Rewired Soul. The entire reason that I started this channel was to help people with their mental health. But there was a problem. There was a problem with the videos I was making. Nobody was seeing these videos. So I sat there and thought, I'm like, dang, I started this channel because I want to help people with their mental health, but nobody's seeing it. So then I started to realize, based on how the algorithm works, what if I take trending topics and use that to give people context and teach them about their mental health? So,
which is exactly what the fuck I said he was doing before. And Primink said himself that that's what he was doing. But then he's like, how dare you do that thing that seemed okay at first, but now it's not for no reason. Nothing changed, but no.
If my goal is to help people, of course I'm gonna want people to see them. Like, if I didn't do that, that would be the same philosophy of somebody who wanted to build a hospital to help people, but they put it on a deserted island with nobody there. But I've actually already explained this in this video right here, titled Why I'm Obsessed with YouTube Drama, which Primink would have known had he done his research.
And he creates somewhat of a false narrative with these people. A lot of the times he makes the drama out of thin air, like there's no basis at all.
So right here in this clip, he's discussing that I create a false narrative, which is absolutely fascinating because the thumbnail that he's showing, it's actually because Gabby Hanna said this. And then afterwards, my audience asked me to make a video about avoidance. So that thumbnail that he's showing you, I actually only talk about Gabby Hanna for a few seconds, and then it's an entire video about strategies to overcome avoidance.
And when he talked about her, all she did was say, when she sees her face in a thumbnail, she does not click the video because people fucking hate her. They hate her for good reason. But yeah, so people make a lot of exposure videos on her. So she's like, I don't even want to look at it. She's done other videos. Like, I've only seen one video of Gabby when I was trying to look up a video about something else. And I stumbled upon it, and I just remember her giving people advice where if someone talks shit to you, just block them. And I was like, I mean, I guess. And I clicked away. And then here comes this one. So it is a repeat. And that was years ago when she made that video. So that is a repeated pattern that she's displayed. She always avoids criticism. She doesn't want to handle it when people are... And even with him, he was taking his own advice here. At first he said he didn't want to make a video on it, remember? But he is now, because we instinctively do try to avoid like these negative issues. But you honestly need to address it. If like negativity is coming your way, you can't just run from it. It's not going to go anywhere. It's still there. You're just not looking at it.
But Primink would have known that if he actually watched the video and did some research. Now, with these next videos that he's showing, the first video is about children being exposed to fighting and the psychological effects. This next one about David Dobrik. Of course people don't hate David Dobrik. It's actually a video about mindfulness. Then this next one is actually about how to deal with an existential crisis.
And that's what I was saying. I said that his titles may be clickbaity, but Primink also uses clickbait titles. Everybody does. If you don't, you're not going to get views. Like, that's just what people do.
And this one right here about Shane Dawson is actually about people who have codependent tendencies. Oh, and by the way, when he mentions that I have 500 videos, I actually have over 700 videos. So Primink probably would have known that if he checked it out and did his research.
Just imagine, some random guy on the internet making 65 videos on how you need to get help in therapy.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I have a ton of videos because I work very hard.
He didn't even make a video on me. I'm kind of offended. Out of all these people, I need therapy the most.
So here's the part that I don't get. In his title, he states that I'm a pretend therapist, but then he admits that I tell people to go get help. Primink, when you're making these arguments, I need to understand, which one is it? Am I pretending to be a therapist, or am I recommending that people go get professional help?
Yeah.
And by the way,
which proves that he's never said that he's a therapist.
Hypocritical part about this is that his title for this video is actually a perfect example about he, as a commentary channel, does the exact same thing, but he just spent the last 5 minutes judging my videos by titles alone. Like I said, That's just a little bit hypocritical coming from Primink.
Being that him and his channel is based around mental health, diagnosing people on the internet.
Here's the problem with that statement. All right? Nobody can find one clip of me diagnosing anybody. And that's why I included this clip in my response to...
That's what I was saying. I don't ever remember him diagnosing anyone. Like, he says what he thinks is wrong with them, and then he moves on.
Trisha Paytas.
If you're in a good mood, you're gonna love it.
Isn't that the fun part, though, about dating someone with, like, borderline personality? Like, you don't know what mood they're gonna be in. Are they gonna be happy? Are they gonna be mad?
But Primink would have known about that clip if he did his research.
And he ended up working as a counselor for a few years.
I've never in a million years said that I was a counselor. Primink, you have to do your research if you want to make valid criticisms. Also, I want to point out that he's trying to focus on my lack of credentials, but he's not happy with me suggesting that people get professional help. This confuses me. What should I do? Should I not tell people to go get professional help if they have struggles with their mental health? I'm not sure what the argument is here. But one of the issues is when he says I don't have any schooling, if you go back to this video right here about going back to school, I discussed how I was going back to school to be a certified alcohol drug counselor.
And see, I said in the video earlier, I was saying, like, you don't know if he's taken classes on anything. You're saying you've taken classes, and that by definition means that you're technically more knowledgeable on these subjects than him. But you don't know that because you don't know if he's taken classes. And honestly, it would make sense for most people for everyone, that if you're going to talk about psychology, you either one, took classes on it or have done an extensive amount of research on it. It's one of the two. So that means that you have an informational background. How else would you be using psychological terms if you never learned anything about it?
Which is a CADC. And Primink would have known this had he done his research.
Is on the internet making videos diagnosing people he's never met.
There he goes again, saying I'm diagnosing people.
The best comparison I could think of is if your doctor's secretary made a YouTube channel and started telling a bunch of YouTubers they have like skin cancer or some other disease. I mean, yeah, the secretary works in a doctor's office and they probably know more about being a doctor than the average Bob, but at the end of the day, you're still a secretary, not a doctor, and you can't diagnose people.
Now, don't get me wrong. Those of you out there, my Rewired soldiers, you know, I'm a dude who loves me some analogies. But this analogy was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. What I'm more like is a secretary at a doctor's office who gets a phone call, someone's telling them what's wrong with them, and then the secretary says, you should probably come in and get some professional help, which is something that Primink has already admitted multiple times that I do on my channel, is that I try to provide people with resources and suggest that they go get professional help.
I took 3 classes of psychology, so schooling-wise, I'm more qualified to diagnose mental health than Chris is.
3 classes in psychology.
Right.
That's cute. So here's a story about a run-in I had with a psychology student recently. They asked if a friend they had who had PTSD from going to war, if that might be the source of their alcoholism. All right, so just so you know, when kids are running around talking about how they had a psychology class, these are the types of questions that psychology students still ask, all right? So again, Primink, that's...
Which further proves my point when I'm saying people who study psychology, like, the reason why it's like a running joke in TV shows when a psychologist has to get psychological help is because they're like, well, you're a psychologist, don't you understand your own problems? It's like, no, like, that's actually very common. Like, just because you went to school for psychology doesn't mean you know what the fuck you're talking about. Just because you can have a PhD and be retarded. Remember the video I just fucking uploaded about Neil deGrasse Tyson? Neil deGrasse Tyson is a fucking idiot. He's a bumbling buffoon, and I have no respect for him as a person. He's sociopathic, and he gets off on making other people feel offended because it makes him, he just tells himself he's intelligent. I've been around sociopaths my whole life, so you're not going to tell me what sociopathic behavior is. I'm an empath. I understand people's behavior very well. You're just not going to tell me that I wasn't around these type of people, especially when they themselves admitted that they were sociopaths. You're not going to tell me that. I've had people admit to being sociopaths a number of times in my life, actually. And they admitted it after I already figured it out. So you just can't tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. And again, I'm an empath, so I have a very well understanding of human behavior. Doesn't mean I know everything, but I know a lot. So yeah, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, he displays that behavior and I don't respect him, but he has a PhD and he's respected as an intelligent person in society. He does some philosophy when he's fucking retarded. So yeah, you can be the smartest person on the planet and still be dumb as fuck. It depends on what you're intelligent in. There's different forms of intelligence, and people keep conflating the two as if like being smart in science means you're smart in everything. Being smart in math means you're smart in psychology. Being smart in psychology means that you know everything in psychology. Fuck off. Just because you know psychological definitions and terms and the shit that you read doesn't mean that you know how to apply it to an actual human psyche.
So again, Primink, that's really cute, but any kid with student loans or money can go to some psychology classes, okay?
So after making 30 videos on someone talking about their personal life and how they need to fix it, that person is most likely going to see one of those videos and respond to it, and that's actually what happened with Trisha Paytas and Bobby Burns. While some people choose to consume content and pretend that life is alright, others want to learn from it and see if it's possible to improve their own lives. I learned a lot more about you from this post. That's too bad, man. What?
Now, with my response to him, let me better explain my comment. So here's what absolutely intrigues me about people, all right? So you have YouTubers with millions upon millions upon millions of views, okay? And they're promoting toxic relationships, unhealthy behavior, all these things to an audience of all ages. They are doing this. They are being a bad influence on people, all right? They're doing this and nobody bats an eye, all right? But the second that somebody like me takes that as an example and says, this is not healthy, then there's a problem.
Which is exactly what I was talking about earlier. Like, he basically says it, but I mentioned that these people, you're a public figure, okay? We do the same thing with celebrities because they're public figures. I didn't say that before, but that's another example. I said, well, politicians, they're public figures. Once you're a public figure, people can comment on your life because you're no longer private. If you can film in your fucking bedroom, people can comment on what goes on in it. Like, if you're going to talk about your personal life, how the fuck do you get to talk about your personal life all the time, but we can't talk about it because that's personal? Fuck off, okay? So, yeah, I hate that fucking criticism. You're putting my, like Trisha was like, you're putting my personal business out in the public. No, you put it out there and then someone commented on it and they have that right. Don't like, just don't even support freedom of speech. Don't be an internet troll. You clearly care about freedom of speech because you're an internet troll, but once somebody starts commenting on you, oh my god, your freedom of speech is fucking with my personal life. Whatever.
All right? I want you to think about that for just 1 second. The other thing that really fascinates me is how people say this is someone's private life. All right? Like, I'm planning on doing some videos about this because this is actually really interesting to me. Like, you guys do understand that anything uploaded on YouTube is public, right? It's not private information. Some people, like Primink, make it seem like I'm like peeking through their windows and, you know, filming them without their knowing. No, these are videos that are being uploaded to a public platform, all right? This is not private.
My subscribers and I just raised a good chunk of money for Mental Health America.
That was a weird flex, but okay. Also,
oh my god, okay, that's like the easiest way to say it. That's a weird, it was a flex. I didn't know how to describe it because it is like bragging. I was trying to make that point clear. If I didn't, I am making it clear now. I was trying to say that he's like, because I did specifically say he's acting like he's better than him. Like, I was saying it's another example of like grooming his, you know, audience to believe that he's a saint and this guy's a sinner. Because, like, I donate to mental health facilities and this guy is tearing down people's mental health. Like, that's such a false equivalence. It was just so, it was so disgusting. But yeah, like, I didn't say that before, but I don't think I did. But yeah, it is bragging as well.
Here are pictures from us attending the Out of the Darkness Walk. What this is an annual walk that's held all over the country, and it's hosted by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Not only do myself, my son, and my beautiful girlfriend, Tristan, attend this walk, but I have raised a lot of money for the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. Not only that, but I have organized multiple events where we get food, clothes, and toys and donate those to nonprofits. Not only that, but I have directly impacted people's lives by actually working in the mental health and drug and alcohol treatment field, okay? And aside from that, I get comments like these all the time of people thanking me for helping them with their mental health or getting them on the right track to go get professional help. But Primink would know all of these things about me had he did his research.
While we, a channel not even about mental health, were raising money for mental health, you were making 3 ebooks, charging $8 a book, and creating an online course for $100.
Now this is something else that really fascinates me about people. People try to discredit others for making money, all right? Like, I don't know about you, but I was working at a job I hated, so I wanted to become an entrepreneur and be my own boss, all right? So that's what I did. But aside from that, it's I'm trying to use my goods and services to help people with their mental health. And the course that he's referencing, that is a course that I taught in a nationally accredited drug and alcohol treatment center to clients as well as loved ones to help them better understand addiction.
That's really sad what he just said, because like in my other video I was saying that it is very possible, because I tried to multiple times I tried to look at it as if, let's just say that Primink is right. Let's just say that he's right. I kept saying that. Just to see if this changes anything, and it doesn't, because it still doesn't address if his videos are legitimate or not. But I was saying, even if the Rewired Soul is somebody who isn't, you know, giving good classes, if he really is just trying to take people's money, there's 2 things you have to consider, okay? So I explained that people do that with music lessons, voice acting. They do it with tarot card readings. They do it with astrology readings. So I'm like, okay, if he's doing a paid service, the second point I brought up is, what if he lives in an expensive place where $100 is a normal price? Or what if he lives somewhere where typical classes tend to cost that much? Like, you don't, unless you present to me the general cost of those type of classes, you can't say it's too expensive, was my point. Because he already painted the narrative that this guy is a sham. and he pretends to be a therapist when he's not. So once he manipulates you into believing that, then he shows the classes like, see, and not only is he pretending like he's one when he's not, but he's making you pay him for it too. Because you already believe in the first part of the false narrative, so now you're going to believe that he's stealing your money too. Like, he's making it seem like he's a fraud. So yeah, that was my point.
Health. And the course that he's referencing, that is a course that I taught in a nationally accredited drug and alcohol treatment center to clients as well as loved ones to help them better understand addiction, all right? But then you have Primink, who is talking about me selling goods and services when all that he offers is his merchandise.
That's what the fuck, I hate that a lot, honestly. Like, looking at all these edgelords, they always promote their clothes. But then they talk about other people wanting a quick buck, and I said in my other video, he's projecting. And this is further proof of that he is projecting his own dark impulses onto the rewired soul. He wants to make money. He doesn't want to get criticism. He wants people to see him as doing something good even though he's an asshole. He wants to sell shitty clothes, and make a quick buck. He wishes he could teach classes and make $100 per class. That's his own dark impulse, and he's projecting it because he can't understand somebody who's legitimately trying to help someone. He doesn't think that way, so he can't comprehend it.
As well as his Patreon, all right? So don't get me wrong, AdSense money absolutely sucks, and get your coin, boo. But I just think that this is a little bit hypocritical of him.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with selling merchandise. There's nothing wrong with having a Patreon, but the problem is when you're accusing someone else of only wanting the money, and they clearly don't, you are projecting, and yes, even though the act within itself of having a Patreon and the act within itself of selling merchandise is not wrong, you're doing it for fucked up reasons. Like, you're doing it in a greedy, selfish way. That doesn't mean everyone else is.
Also, while all of YouTube were making videos highlighting BetterHelp and their questionable practices, Chris actively promoted and still to this day promotes their services to all of his fans.
Now, him bringing up the BetterHelp quote-unquote scam is really, really fascinating, especially because just a few days ago, I made a video that has over 20,000 views at this point debunking all of the BetterHelp conspiracy stuff, and Primink probably would have known this if, you guessed it, if he would have done his research.
If you guys are looking...
Now, I said multiple times in my other video that I don't know anything about BetterHelp. I only know a few things. So I said, based off of what I heard, it is very likely, okay? Because most of the criticism I've heard have been saying it's a scam. So I'm like, okay, that means that based off of the given information that I have so far, it's very likely that they could be scamming, but I specifically said I don't want to say that they're a scam because I don't know everything about it, and that has nothing to do with his overall point, so I'm not going to go do that research because that's a whole separate topic. I just don't want to say that it is a scam when it's not, or that it's not a scam when it is, because I don't want somebody to be like, you don't know this information, Karina, because I don't. So I'm being objective about it, and instead, I'm just considering the possibility, and that's something you saw me do a lot. I'm like, let's just say it's a scam. But I just presented the idea of if it was a scam and how that would affect his overall criticism. So that's objective. But when you're looking at it saying that it's a scam when he's apparently saying that there's evidence against it, then yes, this is another example of how he's not being objective and he's an idiot.
For a channel that is truly supportive and, in my eyes, a good example of a mental health channel, go check out Katie Morton. She is a certified therapist.
She'll know what
Now,
she's
the last
talking
thing that I
about.
want to point out of Primink and his hypocrisy is that he recommends that you go to Katie Morton's channel. Don't get me wrong, I love Katie Morton. She's awesome at what she does. I love her channel, all right?
Fuck her.
But it's a little bit hypocritical because she is a fellow BetterHelp affiliate, and you can see that directly in her description as well as the book that she's selling. So, Primink might have missed this, but that might be because he didn't properly do his research. So, to conclude this video, again, I just wanted to remind everybody the theme of this video, all right? There's criticism, and then there's invalid criticism due to a lack of research, all right? So, if somebody is criticizing you, separate the truth from the false, look at the facts, realize that they might not know all of the facts about you, and that's okay. Because Primink, I love you, brother, and hopefully I was able to educate you a little bit more about the mind of Chris Boutte, all right? But anyways, everybody, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell because I make a ton of videos, and a huge thank you to everybody supporting their channel over on Patreon. You all...
Okay, so the official runtime of this is about 38 minutes. It's going to go a little bit longer because I'm going to say some more, but yeah. I might make some of the part 1 video be a part of the part 2. So, yeah, that's everything I had to say about this. I'm going to try to get through that, and I'm not looking forward to it. But thank you for watching, and let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.